Hi, Elizabeth Fitzpatrick from the Toned Collective here. Today I wanted to share a really special client story with you about how my client, as a brand new first time mom, lost over 20 pounds in 16 weeks. The most impressive thing about this journey to me was that, well, A, she did it as a brand new first time mom, but also she was able to completely retain all of her lean tissue. She didn't lose any of her lean tissue while dropping body fat, eating almost 2,500 calories a day. Ain't that the dream, okay? So let me share with you how she was able to do this. So let's start off with when this client first came to me. She was unsure of how much she should be eating while she was breastfeeding. She was afraid of undereating while breastfeeding. She didn't want to sacrifice her milk supply at all. And she really wanted to get back down to her wedding weight, which she ended up surpassing. So you can see here are some photos of her transformation. So in this new phase of life, when you are a new mom, there's a lot of guess and check that's going to happen, especially when we're talking you want to cut body fat, but you're also breastfeeding and we don't want to sacrifice lean tissue, and now you're really busy and you have a new schedule, right? There's so much going on. So that is why I'm here, which I am actually a pre and postnatal certified trainer, in case you didn't know. So I've worked with many women pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, as well as post-pregnancy, and I work with many women that have multiple children. So really what my thought process here are a couple of things. I never, ever sacrifice health for fitness, right? So I'm always going to prioritize health. So basically we start at a calorie range where I run a bunch of different calculations, and this is kind of our first test to see. There's a lot of guess and check that goes with health and fitness. You have to be okay with that. It's just a part of the journey. So we started her off at kind of where she was eating. I think I actually bumped her up just a few hundred calories from where she was eating, where she wasn't losing any body fat from. So that's kind of crazy. I bumped up what she was doing calorie wise, and then she was able to lose body fat. But there's a lot of reasons for that. So first off, let me just share with you a little bit about how fat loss works, right? So normally, if we're not in this phase of life, normally if you want to just lose body fat, you would typically eat in a deficit. It's most common to eat in about a 500 calorie deficit, and your weight would slowly kind of come down to hopefully roughly a pound a week. There's also something that you can do called body recomposition. And so this is where if you want to lose body fat, but you also want to gain lean tissue, so essentially your weight would stay roughly the same. It might change a little bit, but you're kind of doing both at the same time. So if you're aiming to do that, you're actually not eating in a deficit, you're eating closer to maintenance. And it's a little bit of a slower process, but you could eat at maintenance and not have your body composition change, or you could eat at maintenance and have it change. And the difference between that is how much movement you're doing, how much strength training you're doing, your workout plan. I also am a firm believer that how clean you eat plays a very big role in that too. A lot of fitness coaches out there will just talk about calories in, calories out. That's the secret sauce. And yeah, that's not wrong. However, I'm such a firm believer that the quality of the food matters tremendously in how your body is going to look and how your body composition will change as well. Okay, so that being said, essentially my thought process here was let's eat closer to maintenance, but we also need to add a certain amount of calories for the breastfeeding, because that's her new maintenance during this temporary time as she is working with her breast milk supply, right? So that's what we did. And again, I actually gave her some more calories, but we focused on starting to incorporate a step goal and incorporating strength training back in. So this client had done strength training with me before actually, but it had been a while. And so we wanted to make sure that we were easing her back into the gym. She had some hip stuff going on. And so we wanted to make sure that she was feeling very safe. And you have to really work with the strength back up in this time of life. And so we did exactly that, and we progressed movements forward and got her back to the point to where she was safely able to lift pretty heavy. She's a pretty strong girl. So lifting heavier is very helpful because that boosts your metabolism, right? So the heavier you lift, the higher metabolism you have, therefore the more calories you're burning per day, right? And so in doing that, that gave us a little bit more room to work with, especially calorie wise. And that was a good signal for her body to tell it to kind of do this recomposition thing. So that was a really cool thing, was again that we were able to eat at this amount. Her lean tissue stayed the same, and she was able to purely drop body fat. So let me show you that right here. So you can see this chart, and this is actually before the program ended, so she did end up losing even more than this. But every time I was going in and checking on her, I was just always like, girl, I cannot keep up with your progress. The scale is coming down. She was also getting DEXA scan done, which if you're unfamiliar with the DEXA scan, it's essentially an x-ray. It's the absolute most accurate way that you can take a look at body composition. So that's how I know she didn't lose any lean mass, because her DEXA scans were pretty consistent lean mass wise. It was purely body fat that was coming down. And she was so excited to hear, because she was like, not me, almost at my wedding weight, which again, by the time she was actually out of the program, she surpassed that, and I believe had gotten closer down to around 150 at that time. So that was super exciting. So basically, moral of the story here is you've got to be okay with some guess and check. But typically you want to add a couple extra 100 calories when you are breastfeeding. Now, just because 2,500 calories or close to it worked for her does not exactly mean it will work for you. I'm not saying you will be able to achieve these results at this amount. Everyone is very different. You may be able to get away with more. You may have to do a little bit less. It just depends. But if that's something that you're interested in learning more about, like I said, I am a pre and postnatal certified trainer, so I can work with you pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, or post-pregnancy. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you have. You can find me on Instagram at Elizabeth Fitznes, Fitznes. It's a play on my last name because my last name is Fitzpatrick. So you're more than welcome to check out my content there on Instagram, or send me a message if you want to learn a little bit more specifically about how to eat either during pregnancy, post-pregnancy, or something like that. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to listen and watch this video today, and I hope you have the best day ever. We'll talk soon. Bye.